Welcome back to Luigi's Mansion. Uh, I wonder if, like, in the Japanese version of this game, they kind of boosted the floors a little bit because I know in Japan they don't like to have a fourth floor there due to superstition.
Well, they
Isn't that also the same with 13th
yeah,
here?
there is a
They're
13th
they're
floor in
they're
this
they're
game.
more conscious of it in Japan than we are here of something like that.
I mean, they might have. I feel like they might have left it in on purpose because it's supposed to be spooky. I don't know. This is kind
I
of a
suppose.
weird one to be the fourth floor, though, because this is the first one that feels not fitting for a hotel. Like, okay, a shopping center, sure. The
I
first
don't
three
know.
floors.
For a luxury hotel, a music hall might actually be a thing that they have. Like,
They usually that's more hotels are connected to like convention centers where concerts could be held.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that it could be, and it could also just be for the entertainment of its high class patrons. But the point is, this is the first boss floor, like the first dedicated like floor that's just here to have a boss arena.
Yeah, there's
Um,
like three or four of these
yeah.
in the game. It feels like there's this one, there's the ship one, there's
There's the museum one.
the museum one, and then that's it. Then there's just the final floor. Okay. So yeah. Oh actually no, the dance hall is pretty much just the
Yeah.
boss for that one too.
Ugh, imagine Luigi having trouble jumping over small moving obstacles.
Yeah, I was like, why do we need the vacuum for this?
Because um shut up. So there are some really cool like hidden touches in this game that I appreciate. For example, if you take the symbol that's on the right there and then drag it all the way to the very right and smash it onto the other symbol, they both explode and give you a lot of money.
Oh, I
Which
didn't know that.
yeah, there's a couple of different things like that that have little fun Easter eggs. Like in the magician floor, if you slam the dice until you roll a six, you'll get a bunch of money from that as well, which I thought was like
Oh
a
man,
neat little
three
Easter egg.
golden mice. That's a lot.
Three golden mice.
Did that coin clip through the wall?
I think so.
It's a ghost.
Listen, I want popcorn now.
I'm
Let's all go to the lobby.
okay. I'm gonna say like the first few tiers of gems did actually look kind of nice, but when they start getting these intricate like music note shapes and stuff, they just start to look a bit silly.
Man, now they sold out.
Well, it's just like gems don't generally get cut into shapes like that because
Well,
they
I guess
tend
that's the point.
they tend
Like it's just so nuggets were good until they started taking the
well,
shape of
it's
dinosaurs.
not so
man.
much that they can't make them like that. It's more that when they do, they tend to bypass. They tend to bypass
Aesthetic
looking.
design.
They tend to bypass looking good and end up looking gaudy. Is the thing.
Yeah.
And you want to avoid looking gaudy when you're making jewelry because gaudy jewelry tends to look fake. So, oh,
Use them as earrings, I guess. I think people are being more willing to be more forgiven to gaudy jewelry if they're like earrings,
Wonder
or
why
maybe if you like
though.
attached to a ring.
Like,
well, when you're wearing big, gaudy earrings, your general look is meant to be ostentatious, so that's one of those kind of.
ooh, that's an SAT word.
What? What?
So-
Really? It
Ostentatious?
seems.
Yeah,
It's a pretty
yeah.
boring word
It's
to me.
it's got four syllables, so it's an SAT word.
Okay. Well, I read a lot of books, so I know a lot of words. Anyway, the point is that when you're wearing big earrings, they're generally going with a like a really loud, really eye catching, and generally not graceful fashion statement. So it's one of those kind of fashion based exceptions that prove the rule, I suppose. But you're generally not going to be wearing large, ostentatious necklaces, for example, that involve jewels. A lot
Do
of
you guys remember the episode of Sonic X where Chris's mom had a Chaos Emerald as a ring that was as big as
that
her head?
was ridiculous.
Yeah, sounds about white.
Yeah, that is a very white thing. I agree.
That was ridiculous. And
I on behalf of all of the white people in the world say we're sorry because I'm probably the whitest person in this call at the moment. So I apologize on behalf of all other white people. We can and should do better.
I don't know. You have me and Lewis here.
well,
Well, does
Yeah,
being
I was
Jewish
saying.
count?
I am actually like I do actually come from Portuguese descent, so yeah, I might actually be on a very technical level less white than Ted.
Yeah, because my family is German and Irish, so I'm pretty sure I'm the whitest person here. So yeah, I apologize.
BSC stands for bullshit Caucasians.
Remember that time somebody called you racist against Mexicans or something on Twitter, John?
Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Wow. People do not recognize last names for what they are. Everyone I talk to knows my last name is Portuguese in the real world, I mean. Like, everyone, like, I get this question like twice a week when I introduce myself. Oh, are you Portuguese? Just because they see my last name. I'm like, is it really that obvious? I don't even know where you people learn that this name is Portuguese, but apparently.
Your last name is Ortiz. Can you speak Spanish?
John, can you speak Spanish? Your name is Juan, though. That means you must be able to speak Spanish. Hola, John.
Yes.
Mi soy Ted.
That's
¿Cómo estás, backpack?
okay. I failed Spanish, and you're. I failed Spanish, and you're still hurting my soul.
Come on, vamonos, everyone. Let's go. Come on, let's
great.
get to
Another fucking
it.
Dora Explorer watcher.
We can do it.
You watch one episode of Dora and you think, and I'm a master's degree in Spanish. That's right, you are a master's degree in Spanish.
Where are we going? John's house.
Oh boy.
Here's I think a missed opportunity for the game because you have a few themes in here of boss ghosts from the first game that could have been reused. Like I would have liked to see Melody return.
I mean, I was expecting the Super Mario 64 piano, to be honest. And
I mean it
playing
functionally
Moonlight
is.
Sonata.
Well, instead they went with bland name Beethoven over here.
Yeah, basically.
his name, if I remember correctly, if you examine the ghost list in the lab, is some sort of pun on Beethoven. Like,
Oh.
I just think that it would have been a nice callback for themes you already had, like one person like Ghost who plays the piano to bring back some from Luigi's Mansion 1.
that would have been neat. Yeah.
Oh, like a ghost that got away during Dark Moon and was never reclaimed.
Or
Yeah.
something like that.
They mentioned that Helen broke King Boo out of Egad's lab.
Yeah, so she
So-
could have just broken some out from the first game or something because like, oh, I need someone to play in the concert hall at my new hotel. Well, here's a convenient ghost who plays the piano from the first
I guess
game.
part of the reason that they wouldn't do that though is because, well, the ghosts in Luigi's Mansion 1 look substantially different than the ghosts in Luigi's Mansion 2. And
I mean, you can update their design.
well, yeah, it's just that having them in the game would call attention to the design difference in a way.
Just personally speaking, I thought it would have been nice.
It would have been
Again,
nice.
there's
but
also there is also the chance that this boss was not designed as a musician at first. They might have made the different attacks and then decided that the aesthetic of it being a music performance came after.
that's also
we don't
true. Yeah.
We don't know that though. Like, I don't know whether they work top down or bottom up in that sort of way.
Yeah, you've actually got a point because sometimes that is how design goes.
Yeah, normally in this sort of situation, if it's called bottom up, if it was designed, from gameplay first and then aesthetics later, and it's called top down if it was the vice versa. So
Yeah, and both
That's just some-
both approaches can work really well. Sometimes the concept itself leads to some very interesting gameplay design ideas, but at other times
it's just more of a matter of it. Neither is bad or better than the other. Just
it's
a matter of
execution.
which
Sometimes working from the story concept and then going to gameplay or can lead to some really messy design. Uncharted 3 basically just came up with a 70 million set pieces, and then had a devil of a
They were told to write a story that fits all these things.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the result was one hell of a
Not good.
slapdash presentation.
And I'm
But
sure
guys,
that they're...
but guys, it doesn't matter. It's an Indiana Jones movie. You're there for the thrills. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, well, you know what? Uncharted 2 didn't do that, and it was a lot better for it. So, yeah.
I never really got Uncharted in the same way. Like, even as somebody who doesn't really think that Last of Us did anything all that special, I get why people like it so much. I never really got Uncharted.
I'm the same with Uncharted. It's like it does nothing new gameplay-wise. It's rife with just scripted scenes where it looks impressive, but you're not doing a whole lot. And plot and characters-wise, it's bland as hell.
To be fair, actually, I think you're giving character at least a little less credit than it deserves in Uncharted. But that's something that you really need to stick with the series, like, for multiple games to really gain an appreciation for. As for, like, the general package, though, it's just, like, okay, yeah, it's not innovative in a... Well, I say it's not innovative, but the first game, at least, was fairly innovative for the time. It's not super unique, especially now. But it is very fun as an adventure game.
I didn't find it all that fun, but that's just me.
Well, yeah. There's no accounting for taste, you know? It's not going to be for everyone. But
It's just one of those. Oh, it's like one of the highest rated series ever.
yeah,
It's so acclaimed, and it's like, no, it's really not. Can we please stop acting like it's the best thing
I'm
ever?
not super duper like on board with that impression of Uncharted either, but at the same time, it does have some legitimately good writing in it, and it does have some really fun events to play through, some fun adventure. In that sense, it's very Indiana Jones. Like, I wouldn't say Indiana Jones was the best thing since sliced bread either.
I mean, that's kind of what I felt when I watched the first... I think I've told this story on BrainScratch before, but I watched all 4 Indiana Jones movies in a row. The day that Crystal Skull... You should have gotten hit there. The day that Crystal Skull came out. And my impression walking out of Crystal Skull was that all 4 movies are roughly the same quality. So, you know, maybe that's just me. I mean, I'm sure that you could nitpick, and like the kid in 2 was annoying, and
Short round, yeah.
Shia LaBeouf in 4 was annoying. But in terms of like being
Also, the
action
copious use of
movies-
CG in 4 didn't help.
Oh yeah,
matters.
no, the CG wasn't great in 4, but in terms of like general like action beats, they were all fairly fun movies. So I would rate them all within a letter grade of each other. So, but that's just me. Actually, you were talking about stuff that like I feel like a lot of the times there is a big disconnect between how well critics rate a thing and how well I had this problem too. Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. I had problem hitting it in the right spot when I was too close as well. So, anyway, to get back off topic.
On the subject of like why The Last of Us and Uncharted tend to be like really overly lauded by critics, is because they both hit this note where they're very I want to say adult-oriented, but that gives the wrong idea from what I'm trying to say.
Video games are for children.
Yeah, they're kind of like, in a sense, in 2 different senses, really, serious games for serious gamers. Well, not serious gamers, but serious.
They also harp Hollywood style a whole lot, which makes them feel more artsy than they are.
Yeah. It's that we're trying to be taken seriously as a medium, so we're gonna like uplift these games that fit a certain kind of tone.
Can we get over that now?
I'd love to,
'cause
but we've been stuck in this phase for a decade.
We've been trying to get video games taken seriously, and I hope you heard my air quotes there. We've been trying to get them taken seriously for a good, like, like, since the 2000s even, can we just stop being self-conscious and just make video games for crying out loud?
It's unfortunately a thing that we can't quite escape, but the thing is, and this is not a new phenomenon, a lot of genuinely good and interesting games get elevated perhaps a lot higher than they should be, specifically because they tend to appeal to non-gamer demographics. One of the most famous old examples of this is Myst, if you remember that. You know, the game where you're literally cycling through JPEGs solving adventure game puzzles.
I'm going to say no one in our age demographics who watch our channel would recognize that name.
Look, it's a very, very interesting franchise with an interesting history, but the main reason that the first game was as popular as it was and sold as well as it did was because it appealed to non-gamers rather than gamers. It kind of drew attention to the medium in a way that other games didn't. And that made gaming media as a whole really, really want to lionize this thing. And you see the same effect with stuff like The Last of Us or Uncharted, where, you know, they're good games, and they have good stories, and they do good things very well, but they're maybe getting the wrong amount of the wrong kind of credit for the wrong aspects of what they do.
Yeah, because when you think about what things like Uncharted and Last of Us are lauded for, if you play video games for a substantial part of your lives, it's really nothing new.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a polish, I think. I feel like a lot of big media outlets really will go into how polished a game is, even though I won't say for a good chunk of people, I don't know what the percentage is or whatever, but there's a good amount of people who don't care as much as polish, but care more about different things, whether it's a certain aesthetic or, you know, how unique something is. But, so, niche games in particular, stuff like Ace Attorney, Trauma Center, before it became mainstream, Persona, stuff like that would get kind of mixed critical reviews, even though the fan bases for it were very dedicated. And that's just because I feel, and I'm overgeneralizing here, but I feel like in general, big media outlets care more about how polished a game is versus, you know, whether or not there's this one thing about the game that makes it really resonate with someone in the way that one of those kind of niche titles would.
Well, you know, it's like, yeah, there's you really shouldn't have done that. Now you're not going to be able to get that pearl at all.
I'm going to have more than enough money by the end of the game.
Launch the toad into the wall.
I was wondering if those piggy banks were something you could break, because there was one you missed earlier.
Yeah, you can break the piggy banks, and they always have a lot of money in them.
There was one that I saw in the reflection of a mirror in one room earlier. I think it was a bathroom.
I mean, obviously, this isn't an all-money run.
Is that a... Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was something you could interact with, but I didn't think to ask them.
I think an all-money run is technically impossible, or it's maxed money, I think, because ghosts do respawn, and they drop money when you kill them. Pittances, granted, but you could theoretically grind to max money in this game.
Anyway.
Also, I missed the gem, but I have to come back here anyway, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, well.
Why can't we just warp the toad back with the warp thing we have in our pants?
Do you want to warp together with a toad and become a half Luigi, half toad crossbreed?
Well, I mean, you could just take it out and let them walk through the warp portal. Alone.
And unsupervised.
Well, they just pop out next to Egad, so...
The toads would find a way to screw it up. They're toads, it's what they do.
Fair enough.
They are fuck-ups.
But then, why are we trusting them with the elevator?
I feel like it's less complicated, and there's at least a 30% chance they fall and trip on themselves and die on the way over. But that's better than the 80% chance if they use the warp thingy. So you take the better odds, even if they're not as much better as you would like them.
Okay. Fair enough.
Wait a minute, what if I put this upside down and then go straight to floor 9?
That's not how the font works.
Yeah, but the elevators know that.
I mean, apparently it does. Well, we'll see what the elevator has up our sleeves next time in Luigi's Mansion 3.